me to do. So that's going to be the best way that I can do it. So I apologize um, for not being as smooth as some of your other teachers that have done this. So anyway, I'd like to introduce myself again. I'm Mr. Curtis. I teach 7th and 8th grade at Springs, year 3, and excited to start year 24 of my teaching career. Almost all of them have been in the public schooling, from teaching 9th grade Spanish to middle school language arts and history, all the way down to 4th grade. And I feel like this is my niche, is this 12 to 14-year-old kid range. Um, so I'm gonna take this off and see if I can share my screen. And my goal is to be with you guys till 10:35, and then I'll stick on the Zoom until 11. And you, if you have any questions, you can feel free at that time to ask them and stick around. Okay. But let me share. And again, I am recording this on QuickTime Player, so that's the best way for me to get it onto YouTube. Okay. So if I just kind of really quickly, what are we going to be doing today? So just a very quick review on Canvas. I know that's probably the most important thing, is getting into Canvas, but making sure that you guys know how to get in there. But really going to focus on Saxon, reading comprehension, a little bit on the iReady, which starts next week at home. We'll do a couple lessons and then some in-class work, and then we'll see you next Wednesday, August 31, for our last Springs University. And again, this was brought down by administration just to get us all calibrated on the expectations of our classical program. Mine will look a little different than Miss Hoppy's or Miss Aronowitz in the younger grades, but my job is to get them ready for high school and to do the most learning that we can pack in. So before I start getting into Canvas, just a good reminder that our days at school on Mondays and Tuesdays are just so big. We pack in maybe 1.8 to 2.0 of the amount of school that we would get otherwise. And so if you miss a Monday or a Tuesday in the building, it can really hamstring the learner. Of course, if kids are sick, we want them to stay home and be well. But if they're a little nervous about the weekend ending, we need to get the kids on campus. Especially when we started getting into writing and math, where it's the content is not just worksheets. It's very difficult for me to get them caught up. And so as a parent, if I had dental appointments, ortho appointments, family vacations, Wednesday through Sundays, that's why this program exists, right? So you have 5/7 to choose from. And so I know extending weekends are great on Mondays, but it's important that your kids come to school on those 2 days. Those are the biggest academically packed days of the week. Now for us, we have Labor Day is a Monday, we're off. So if it's a federal holiday, we're off, and we only go 1 day in a week. And that's going to be in when we get into September. So there are a lot of days off. So just reminding parents, again, if you have an ortho appointment, plan it for a Wednesday through Friday. If you're doing a family vacation, if you can, I have family too, and trying to do it Wednesday through Sunday is the best way, okay? Like I said, I'll be on until 11, but we'll try to get this over with by 10:35 in the interest of saving your time, and I felt bad about going over last week. So let's get into Canvas, all right? So once you get into Canvas, let me see here. There we go. Okay, so once you get into the Springs page, this is important, okay? So I think only 2 kids haven't gotten into this yet, but just a reminder, have your kids log into Springs. That gets them into everything, all right? So I'm going to log this student in. She happens to be a 7th grader. And again, you're just looking, and these are all your badges. And so iReady, which we start next week in class and at home, they would click that badge. All of them you can see here. I know we went over this last week, but I'm going to hit Canvas and really dive into the most important parts of what our program is. So this student logs in. It looks a little different from last year. I'm still learning some tricks here. The name of the student's up top. And so I think what I do is I hand out these summary checklists. So your student should have this. We hand these out on Monday morning in class, and if they were absent Monday, they got them Tuesday. And this is also in Canvas, so I give them a hard copy and also just kind of an electronic version. Some parents last year took screenshots of this from Canvas, so they just kind of knew what was expected. And so you can kind of see just what we're doing in class, and then some due dates possibly. Obviously, then you have your homeschool stuff to do here. We took the pretest in spelling on Monday, so that was kind of a way to kind of help you guys speed things up a little bit since you're attending a meeting. And we'll do another pretest on Monday as well for the kids in spelling because we have one more at Springs University. But we won't always do pretests in class. I was just trying to help parents out by investing your time on Wednesday, trying to pay you back a little bit. So they should have their pretest done. But what if I'm a student or a parent wanting to know what to do? So I'm going to go into the grades. Okay, so I would go and click that grades tab and then find the specific subject. Okay, so last week I said, hey, go into due dates. Well, I think this is actually a little better, going into grades. And I'm going to click 7th grade math. If your student's an 8th grader, then they would obviously have the 8th grade math tab. So when you get into this page, and I highly recommend, my daughter has Canvas at her high school, and I go in probably once a week with her, and just to kind of see what she's got missing, hopefully nothing, and what's coming up. So if you notice here on this student example, I've got more than what's happening now. So I did the first 6 weeks of Saxon and already loaded it, but you can't really access a task until it's actually dropped. And we drop assignments on Sunday. So this is big. Sunday prior, we drop the assignments. And they are due typically 13 days later, so almost 2 full weeks. So I dropped this last Sunday, the 21st, and it's going to close and be due on September 3rd. So it gives you an idea in those subjects. And so if I were to click on the Saxon, again, 7th and 8th graders will look a little different, pretty much the same. But again, this is where you can find everything, a one-stop shop, including what does a good paper look like, an exemplar, if they're using paper pencil and using kind of line paper. I did hand out 4 or 5 of these sheets to the kids on Monday and Tuesday, and I will have more for them when they get back. So anytime you can avoid printing better, the better. And I would think that I like this format a lot better than the lined because it gives each kid enough room to show some work. Now some questions don't require, like there won't be a lot of work, but the more that they can show, the better. So in Canvas, you can see these examples here, and it won't let me scroll up, but you can kind of see at the bottom, I have my 7th grade keys and 8th grade keys below. And so I would click on those to grade the assignment. And we had a couple of parents say, hey, I want to do them one at a time with my child until they get it right. You can do that. Or you can say, okay, I'm going to teach the lesson, and then I'm going to grade it, and then maybe I'll give it back and grade it again. So that's completely up to you on how you want to do it. If your child comes back with a 30 out of 30 on the task, that means they totally dominated it. Now, if they got 10 on the first one, and let's say 30 on the second with some reteach, all I would ask is in the comments when you submit the lesson to just say, hey, we worked on this twice. Like I said, we really want to get the kids the skills. The grade is the cherry on top, but the ice cream of the sundae is the teaching and the trial and error, the kids making mistakes and going back and fixing those mistakes and hopefully retaining that. That's the big thing. So, but then put the score on each one. So if this week we have Saxon 2 and Saxon 3, so what I would do is I would have these 2 sheets, take a picture of both. So you click on the start assignment, and let's say this girl's starting an assignment. Let's say you uploaded it with your phone and you dragged it to your desktop, however you do it, and then upload your file, and then there's a submit the assignment right there, and then your comments. And again, I retaught the lesson, and my daughter did great the second time. Whatever you want to put in there, just to signify if you did things twice. That's a good one sentence. That's good for me, and I do read those comments. I take them seriously. Okay, so this is the Saxon. Now, what I want to get into the crux of Saxon. So Saxon isn't, hey, honey, here's your book, you're on your own. Some parents, hire a tutor to do that if you have the means to do that. I still, as a homeschool parent, I would get into Saxon with them. Again, like I said, if I didn't teach 8th grade math, some of the 8th grade math I haven't used in a while, so it's not the easiest, but it does break it into parts for us. So I'm going to go to actually the book's lesson electronically, which you have, and most of you have the textbook already. So again, at the beginning, I told the kids power-ups. I think those are great mentally. You're not writing these down, right? So this would be like your pre-teach with your kids, okay? So number sense, okay, Shiloh, what's this? What's 203 plus 87? I would read these aloud, these mental, or show them. And again, this should just take a few moments, okay? Getting their brain to think, okay, what does mental math look like? Here's your problem solving. Again, I would read this along with the student, okay? I would read this and have some scratch paper and actually do some of the prompts, all right? They give you exactly what kind of the order in which to do them, the checking. Okay, we went over, and we this week we actually did about 3 or 4 questions in class on Saxon, so they kind of got a head start. But again, we're just kind of showing you what it might look like. And so I'm reading this to my son. What is the quotient when the product of 3 and 6 is divided by the sum? So here's the instruction. So it's not just, hey, do the work. It's, here are some examples, and here are some solutions in which to solve. And I know some of you that were here last year, you're probably thinking, oh, I know this already. I think it's a good review just to kind of see it. It does look similar to last year's if you were in Miss Hoppy's class. But again, I would have scratch paper, whiteboard, and dry erase pen. But again, a lot of notes here, right? There's a lot of chances for them to see the solutions and to discuss them, right? So again, I might write here, here's another example. So these are the skills that they're going to be working on in that lesson. And there's another one, example 4. Obviously, we're going to subtract and have a negative difference here. And so that would stimulate some conversation between the teacher and the student. And then example 5, finding the value of x and y. Okay, and then again, here are some ways from which the students can get some assistance. Then once we get to the practice set and the actual written practice, the written practice is what goes on the actual sheet. And like I mentioned, I handed this out to the kids. I'll hand out more. And they're going to record the written practice here. Don't forget the name of the child, the lesson, and if you could include the week, that would be great. So that's kind of my spiel on that. Again, what a lot of teachers, parents did as they taught their students is they might have broken it down into groups of 5. And so they pre-teach it, and then they hand this out and say, okay, Johnny, go back and read the examples in which to solve, and then I'll come back and check with you. Some parents go and do each one individually. Each of your time commitments are different, but I do promise you the more time that parents invest working with the child and holding them accountable, the more likely these skills are going to be learned and retained. All right, so those practice questions are basically what goes on that sheet that I just showed. All right, I know I'm kind of blasting through it. So here's an example from the 8th grade Saxon for lesson 3, again, 2 this week. And again, they're not due till Sunday or Saturday, September 3rd. But it's so easy in Saxon to let that snowball become an avalanche, right? So the more you wait on Saxon, I wouldn't recommend more than 2 lessons in a day. I know that we're going to get into 3 and then 4 lessons in a week as we get into deeper into the homeschool program. It's just really important. Like, everybody should have their Saxon done. We only had 1 last week. If you didn't, really get that Saxon 1 done. Have them turn it in to me, the handout with the grade and the signature, and we'll be good to go. But again, Saxon is the deepest of all the subjects that we handle in our homeschool program, along with the math that I do in class. So I want to jump into then the reading. Okay, so I'm going to go back. This is this child's her Canvas page, and then ELA, like I said, it has everything in it. It has spelling, reading, and writing stuff